Hare Krishna, this is Chaitanya Charandas coming to you from Shida, Mayapur. This recording is a summary based on a Facebook live broadcast which I did this morning on ISKCON Youth Forum, Mayapur. But due to buffering, a lot of buffering, and it wasn't like a very clear class, so I'm deciding to make a recording as a summary of those points that I made. I think it will be essential and important for people to listen to these points. So let's begin by offering our praise to our spiritual master and the previous acharyas. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I've been asked to speak by His Grace Chaitanya Nitai Prabhu, who is involved in youth preaching in Mayapur, and the topic is Amanina manadena. This is a part of a shloka from the Shri Shastakam, namely shloka number 3, which goes Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi saishnunan Amanina manadena kitaniya sadahari. And the translation is that one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself to be lower than a straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So we see that to put this into context, this verse was actually spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And although the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, wrote voluminous books, lengthy books, descriptive books about the process of devotional service and instructions thereon, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself only left these 8 verses. And not only that, he didn't leave them together as a compilation, but he gave them in separate incidents across a range of discussions with Rupa Goswami. And thereafter, Srila Rupa Goswami compiled these and included them in a book called Padyavali. But even then, they were dispersed. They were not like together in one place. It was only later on when Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj took Srila Rupa Goswami's Padyavali and extracted those 8 verses and put them in a sequential order, that it was done, and that was at the end of the Antya-lila, which is the last chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the last chapter of the Antya-lila is where you'll find this chapter 20 of Antya-lila, the Shri Shastakam. So let's start off with a question, and my question would be, and it may be your question as well: why did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only leave these 8 verses? He could have written books, but just 8 verses. And there's a reason for that. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu realized that whatever had to be said, whatever explanation or description of the devotional process that had to be made, is included in these 8 verses. It's the summum bonum. So on preparation for this class, I did some research by listening to a lecture, a video on YouTube by His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj, and some of the points that I've included in this presentation are from Maharaj's talk. So Maharaj says here that these 8 verses are the essence of all Vedic knowledge. Sometimes many people complain that they don't have time. So even if one does, as the reason that one does not have time, simply by regularly reciting and reading these 8 verses, one's life can become perfect. If we have sufficient faith in them and read them regularly, one's life can be perfect. And that is sufficient. And all levels are included, from the very basic level of beginning in Krishna consciousness until the highest levels of Krishna consciousness are included in this Shastra. In fact, these 8 verses are so essential that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj said, first of all, you should wear them as a necklace, as a mala, as a kanti mala, a mala around your neck to remind you of the importance. And if one reads these 8 verses daily with devotion, one will be definitely blessed with the fruits of devotional service. What's the highest fruit of devotional service? That is Krishna Prema. So let's go on to the verse itself, which is take verse 3 of the Shikshastakam. And in previous verses, that's verse 1, Chaitadarpana Marjanam, and verse 2, Nam Namakari Bahudajana Sarvasakshis, the importance of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is explained and what it can do, as well as the position of Nam Prabhu. These two are explained in the first 2 verses. So this third verse, Trinadapi Sunechena, is talking about how to chant. Sometimes we're told to do something, but not how to do it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining how to chant. What is the mood? And just by following this one verse, your life can become perfect. And nothing else is required except this one verse. So what are the four aspects of this verse? Be humble, be tolerant, give respect to others, and don't expect respect back to yourself. So to do these 2 things, Amanina manadena, it seems like a very difficult thing to do. Why is that? It is because the natural tendency of every living being, a human being, is to try and enjoy this world and try and enjoy actually name and fame and popularity and acknowledgement and credit. This is the juice that drives the secular world, and actually it drives devotees sometimes. It's a very subtle influence, the desire for name and fame. So we should always question our motives as devotees. Why am I doing this? Is it for the pleasure of Krishna exclusively? Because even if there's a tinge of something for oneself, then that is a reason to be deviated from the path. So you see, generally people don't want to give credit to anybody else. They want to have credit for what they've done. In fact, they even want credit for what they have not done also. And a devotee of the Lord doesn't aspire or should not aspire for credit. He gives credit to others. And we give respect to others. Even if we do service, we try and find ways how to glorify others in devotional service. And I was reading through this in preparation, and we see that the classical example of one who gives respect to others without expecting respect for herself and promoting others before herself is Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is always pushing people forward to serve Krishna. Why? Srimati Radharani feels herself unqualified, and that itself is a great disqualification. The fact that she feels unqualified. She's the most qualified. There's none more qualified than Srimati Radharani to render service to Krishna. But she says that she's disqualified to serve Krishna. This is the humility of Sri Radha. So if we're constantly looking how to get credit for ourselves, how to get respect for ourselves, we'll not be inclined to give it to others. If we're constantly finding ways to build our name, fame, reputation, and recognition, there's no way we'll try and give that to other people. We'll be consumed with envy if we see other people being recognized. And envy is one of the root evils, one of the prime reasons why we fall down into the material world, enviousness of Krishna. And we see from the verse, Chinada Pusunichana, Tarorapi Saishnana, Amanina manadena, Ketanaya Sadhari, we see from this verse that if one has these 4 qualities, humility, tolerance, giving respect to others, not expecting respect, if one has these 4 qualities, one can constantly chant the names of Krishna. And that's the goal of life. Constantly chant and constantly remember Krishna. So now we turn to a lecture by Srila Prabhupada. This was given in October 23rd, 1972 in Vrindavan. It's a Nectar of Devotion lecture. So in this lecture, Srila Prabhupada mentions that firstly, an advanced devotee is never disrespectful to another devotee. So the opposite of never being disrespectful, The corollary is he is always respectful. So this is a symptom of an advanced devotee. He always respects the other devotees. On the contrary, we can see somebody who is not advanced who will always disrespect the devotees, always criticize, always fault find, always create politics. But the symptom of an advanced devotee, Prabhupada says here, he never disrespects the devotees, the other devotees. What is the danger? Just from a social point of view, from an ethical point of view, from a view of being like decent, we don't want to criticize others and disrespect them, just from that perspective alone. But there's a deeper and more treacherous aspect of this, and that is, if you are disrespectful, eventually you become familiar. If you are familiar and disrespectful, you'll become disrespectful and offensive. And this offenses to the other devotees, to Vaishnava, it's called Vaishnava Aparana. It's extremely, extremely dangerous for one's spiritual life. It's compared to a maddened elephant that will trample your creep of devotional service. So you must be very cautious to avoid this offenses. Then Prabhupada goes on to say that in Krishna consciousness, we always address other devotees. The term of address is Prabhu. And Prabhupada goes on to say that, such and such Prabhu, such and such person called such and such Prabhu, always include Prabhu in your form of address, because Prabhu reminds us that that person who we're speaking to is our master, our Prabhus. But at the same time, we shouldn't be thinking that we are Prabhu, that we are masters. So that's a good way to always think of others as Prabhu and not to think of ourselves as Prabhu. Prabhupada goes on to say that when we say that we should offer respects to everyone, it means everyone, all living entities. Because devotee or non-devotee, everyone's part and parcel of Krishna. Then Prabhupada goes on to say, we should not only offer respects to all Vaishnavas and non-Vaishnavas and living human beings alone, but all living entities. Complete respect across the board, because dwelling in the heart is a super soul, and this person has been circumstantially covered by Maya, so they're acting like a demon, but in their heart, in the core of the heart, they're devotees. So now we'll briefly look at some of the consequences of applying this, of not applying this, of applying this, and of applying this in one's own life. First of all, the consequence of not applying this. If we're not proper in our dealings by offering respect, there's no possibility of us cooperating. And Prabhupada says, your love for me to keep this movement together will be shown by how you cooperate to keep this movement together after I left. So the progress of ISKCON is stifled. The progress of the movement as a whole is stifled, because of this lack of cooperation and this predominance of disrespect. Then there'll be so much of frustration and unhappiness. Not that people are hankering for respect, but basic respect in terms of respecting other people as human beings and as devotees. That basic respect has to be there. And at the same time, we should not expect that respect. We should give that respect to others without expecting it. If you don't expect that respect, when you don't get it, you won't be frustrated. You won't be angry, you won't be disappointed, you won't be agitated. And if you give respect, and everybody in this movement gives respect without expecting it back, everybody will be respecting everybody else, because you're doing it without motivation. You see, there's a common English saying, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Which means I do something for you and you do something for me in return. It's like a business. And devotional service is also all about loving exchange. It's not a business exchange. Our relationship with Krishna is free of this business mentality. Once, when Nishingadev asked Prahlad Maharaj after he killed Hiranyakashipu, please ask for whatever benediction you want. And after much convincing, Prahlad Maharaj says, initially Prahlad Maharaj's response for not asking for the benediction was, my loving relationship with you is not a business deal. I do not want anything in return. I just want devotion. But then when Nishingadev persisted, then he said, okay, if you want to grant me something, please liberate my father. And Nishingadev is already done. What to speak of you? 7 generations past, present and future have been liberated. 21 generations, because Prahlad Maharaj was a pure devotee. So we're not expecting anything in return. Or we should not expect anything in return, because that's like a business mentality. Very materialistic mentality. It's not pure devotion. What is pure devotion? This is described in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 6. Ahritiki apratihata, unmotivated and uninterrupted. That's the definition of pure devotional service. Savaya pumsam param dharma. So, also, by not being respectful to others and not expecting respect, we'll be perceived as proud, as puffed up. Because the only person who cannot give respect, but at the same time wants respect all the time, is somebody who is proud. If you read chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita, what is the terminology used to describe a demon? Conceited, angry, proud. These are all characteristics of a very proud, demonic person who does not want to respect others. And generally speaking, demons respect nobody else except themselves. And it will hurt our preaching, because other people will perceive, look at these devotees, they're not willing to show respect to me, but they want respect for themselves. They seem to be very proud. No, this is not good. And this envious nature of wanting recognition and being upset if others get recognition and not giving others recognition and respect, this is actually going to harm us individually and collectively. So what's the consequence of offering respect? By offering respect, loving, nurturing, nourishing relationships will be cultivated amongst our family members, amongst the members of ISKCON, and other people we deal with in the secular world will notice this, and they'll be inspired to relate to us more. So these are all important points. In the purport of chapter 9, text 11, Srila Prabhupada mentions about the presence of the Paramatma. And because of the basis of this point, that in the heart of every living entity is Krishna as the Paramatma, for that basic reason we should give respect, if for no other reason. That Krishna is in this person's heart. If I offend this person, Krishna in the heart is also going to be offended. And if you see that everybody is part and parcel of Krishna, then that makes things so much easier in terms of relating with others and giving respect to others. Everyone goes through their lower modes. They become covered by the modes and they have the lower points. At this point, we should be tolerant with them. At the same time, we should exhibit some humility to understand that we ourselves go through such moments when we have our lower nature overtake us. And also, we should give that person respect. Even though they are under the lower modes of nature and acting up, we should give that person respect without expecting them to respect us back. And surely enough, if we deal with that person very humbly, with tolerance and respect, that person Krishna within the heart will inspire that person. Look, I'm not respecting this person, but through all my acting up, this person didn't respond. They didn't retaliate. See, if somebody is acting up and somebody else retaliates, it's just going to be an ongoing war, which nobody's going to win. It's going to hurt both parties. So the best thing to do in that situation, one person has to be the better devotee and tolerate. Be humble enough to know, I go through the same thing myself, tolerate the situation, give respect to that person and don't expect respect. That will break that cycle of frustration, conflict. You see now we in the lockdown due to the coronavirus pandemic. And because of such close association of people for such an extended period of time, there's bound to be friction, there's bound to be tension. So how to overcome this? Take the humble position. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I hope these thoughts have assisted you. I am just reminded, Krishna just reminded me of 2 questions that came on the live broadcast, which I would like to share with you, as well as the answers that I gave. The first question was, if we are seeing that devotees are arguing and criticizing senior Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas on Facebook, should we not respond to them? And when we respond to them, how do we maintain respect? So the answer was, we can be strong in our response, but we should also be respectful in our response. They are being disrespectful. does not mean we have to follow suit and be disrespectful as well. Now, for ourselves, we don't defend when we were disrespected. But whenever if Krishna and his devotees are disrespected, we must act like fire, Srila Prabhupada says. We are reminded of the pastime of the beating of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu on the head with a clay pot. Madai beat him on the head with a clay pot and drew blood. And Nityananda Prabhu did not defend. He did not respond. He did not retaliate. He begged Madai and Jagai to chant the names of Krishna or take to Krishna consciousness, take to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. That was Nityananda Prabhu's move. But who responded? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found out that Nityananda Prabhu was struck, he ran to the spot. He summoned his chakra to decapitate Madai, to kill him. And who saved Madai? Nityananda Prabhu. So a few principles can be drawn from this. Number one, Lord Nityananda Prabhu did not defend himself or retaliate. Number two, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not tolerate blasphemy of a devotee, either physical, verbal, mental, whatever it is. And thirdly, Lord Nityananda Prabhu is so merciful that even though he got beaten by the same Madai, he was saving Madai when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to kill him. So we should also maintain this mode of tolerating whatever is done to us, but be very ready to defend Krishna and his devotees. At the same time, we should be balanced. We shouldn't be disrespectful in how we reply to these people. And if we see the conversation is coming to a point where this person is extending the argument and just being blasphemous, just block the person or just come out of that thread. Because most of the times when people come and comments on Facebook, it's loaded with envy. They have an agenda to attack and criticize and offend devotees, and they're waiting for somebody to respond to pour more poison. So the best thing to do in such a case is either defeat that person soundly. If you feel that's not working with sound logic and scriptural evidence, if they're not being logical and reasonable, pull out of that discussion. Block that person and just continue. And you keep putting on positive vibes in terms of positive videos, positive pictures, and positive posts on Facebook. Dealing with those persons directly is the worst thing because it will fan their envy. They want publicity. They want an audience. And by you arguing with them on Facebook, which is a public forum, they will have that audience and you'll be satisfying their end. So don't play into that. The second question was from a devotee who asked, I may get some service which is in administration and management, how to take that on without becoming, and I feel that I can become influenced by false prestige. Yes, true. Generally, positions which are high up, like management, leadership, administration, there's a tendency to become carried away with pride and false prestige. That's natural. It's accepted by me. However, we should consider two things. Number one, do that service with the proper devotional mood of detachment. You're not the doer. Krishna is the doer. The spiritual master by whose blessings you got that service is the doer. You are not the